mood swings, bloating, fibroids, heavy periods, perimenopause. You've been told that these are part of womanhood, but they're truly messages from estrogen, and today we're decoding them. Welcome to another episode of Hormones Don't Lie. Today we're diving into one of the most misunderstood hormones, estrogen. This is truly helping us understand the deeper root meanings of what estrogen really means and how it can help us understand a part of ourselves on a deeper level. So the word estrogen is broken down into two parts. Oistros, which means frenzy, passion, desire, and the suffix gen, which means to generate or produce. So when you put these two together, it literally means the generator of desire, or more poetically, the spark that awakens a woman back to life. Estrogen's original meaning carries this wild, creative, untamed quality, a reminder that this hormone is not just a chemical. It's truly a creative initiator, a life builder, a signal amplifier, and the urge to create, because historically and linguistically, that is what it is designed to do. The hormone estrogen tells the body to create, creating tissues in the body, especially in the areas that it dominates, like our breasts and our uterus. But when you think of it on a deeper level, estrogen doesn't just create tissue, it creates the physical matter of our bodies, the bridge from spirit into physical form. It stimulates the emotional parts of our brain. And so with estrogen being as powerful as it is, sometimes we run into these issues where our body has either too much or too little. So what is the body trying to communicate with you on this level? First, let's talk about when there's too much estrogen. Because it's such a creative hormone, that means it may create too much tissue. And when there's too much tissue, that creates heavier cycles because the body has too much tissue in the uterus that it has to release. It might make us too emotional. It may heighten your sensitivity. And so when there's too much estrogen, sometimes we can think that there's something wrong with our bodies, that our body's making too much estrogen, but truly, we may be putting too much estrogen in. You see, the body doesn't really necessarily create more estrogen, it accumulates estrogen. And to make this even clearer, estrogen, like all steroid hormones, are created from cholesterol, from the foods that you eat, which is why nourishment matters. Estrogen is supposed to rise and fall throughout your cycle, but when more comes in than your body can clear, it doesn't drop the way that it should. It accumulates, and that buildup is what creates the symptoms you feel. And sometimes we don't even realize it, but we're craving that estrogen. We're craving the energy of our mother. We're craving the energy to be nourished, to be nurtured, to be soothed, to be cared for. And we find that a lot of times in foods that have a lot of dairy, which came from a mother cow that has loads and loads of estrogen. The body is giving you that emotional cue to say, hey, we're missing something. We are not nurturing ourselves. We are not caring for ourselves. And a lot of times we will outsource that instead of taking the approach to caring for our bodies deep within. Your body and emotions and cravings are so intelligent, but sometimes that's not the source or the place of where we need to receive the answer. So our bodies will give us those reactions. A lot of times we're allergic to the dairy, and the body is simply saying, hey, this is not what we need. We were on the right path to, yes, being nurtured and being nourished and being cared for, but we actually just need to give it to ourselves. Now, this doesn't mean you shouldn't eat certain foods. This is just to give a clearer picture as to what is being communicated. And so I think back to myself. I used to crave dairy all of the time, craving cream cheese and ice cream and milk and cereal constantly. And if I can be very honest with myself, I feel that I was craving that nurturing energy that I wasn't getting, right? Sometimes we just want that comfort. We want to be soothed. So that's one way that we could be putting too much estrogen in our bodies. And the thing about estrogen is that it has to be cleared. And our body will typically do a great job of clearing that energy out. But when our gut and our liver and the areas of our bodies for processing all of the toxins and all the things that our body doesn't need, when our gut and our liver is not able to process that, which is usually due to another form of suppression, which we'll get into, when it's not able to process all of that, then that estrogen recirculates back into the body, but it can never be reused. So the body is not making more estrogen, it's recirculating old estrogen. So we have two things going on. We're craving that nourishment, that nurturing energy outside of ourselves, but then we're not releasing. We're holding on to a lot of information or emotions. And so you might say, well, you know what? I don't have a lot of dairy, or I don't have any dairy, but yet I still have a lot of these symptoms. Another way that estrogen starts to accumulate in the body is when we have high amounts of histamine in the body. When we have a lot of histamine in the body, that means the body is experiencing a lot of allergies. It means it's experiencing a lot of things that are just not right for us. On a deeper level, anytime we're dealing with allergies, we're dealing with something going on with the gut. So when we're dealing with challenges with the gut is your immune system, but it is also this powerful sense of self. This powerful sense of your gut instincts. So where are you not following your gut? When we suppress ourselves, we reach for quick fixes like alcohol, sugar, caffeine, toxins, distractions. They help us avoid what we don't want to feel, but they overwhelm the liver and gut, making estrogen harder to clear. And another type of suppression that we experience as women is our natural beauty. So many perfumes, lotions, beauty products, hair treatments contain fake estrogen, and we use them to feel more confident. The world makes us feel like we're just not enough without them, but they end up adding more estrogen in our body that's already overwhelmed. And when the body is so overwhelmed, it has no choice but to continue to store this excessive amount of estrogen in the form of tissues that don't belong, like fibroids, endometriosis, and adenomyosis. You see, as you break it down further and further and further, it just gets deeper into these levels and layers of suppression emotionally. Now, of course, physically, there's so much that we could do. We could take the probiotics to support our gut. We could support our liver. We could do all of these amazing, wonderful things. But my job and goal here today is to teach you what estrogen imbalance is trying to communicate with you. So while most women hear that just having high amounts of estrogen is bad, the deeper message behind all of this is that you're holding energy that isn't yours. Emotionally, that shows up as overstimulation, feeling responsible for things you can't control, and attracting the wrong people and wrong situations. Symbolically, high estrogen reflects the mother wound, over caretaking, suppressed rage, emotional clutter, and saying yes out of fear. So this can help you to understand that your body is not malfunctioning. It is simply reflecting what is deep inside your emotions. So you might ask yourself, well, what if my estrogen is too low? Which can show up as a lot of dryness, drier skin, vaginal dryness. You can experience even more allergies because histamine and estrogen are deeply correlated. You can experience brain fog and confusion with estrogen being lower and not being able to activate those mood receptors in the brain. And while yes, estrogen can slow down in the ovaries, it is still produced in other areas of the body like your adrenal glands and fat cells. So why would our estrogen still be low? Low estrogen physically is reflecting that we're not nourishing ourselves, that we're not pouring into ourselves. Before, maybe we were overcompensating for it, but now we've kind of lost that part to ourselves. Maybe we're giving so much out that we don't have enough for ourselves, and that can deplete those reserves even more. Oftentimes, while we think that it's just age, there's a strong correlation with that age, right? Think about how long it takes for that energy to get depleted. That nurturing, magnetic, creative energy, which you would normally use for yourself, think of how long it takes over time that gets depleted when you have children, when you have to care for your parents, when you have to care for all these other things around you, that you don't have enough time for yourself. That's not depleted overnight. It takes time. And if I'm being honest, I think that's where the real depletion comes in. Because we could be over giving so much to the point that our well has simply run dry. So where are you giving so much of yourself that you have now begun to feel depleted? That you feel that spark within you feels dim. Emotionally, this can look like lack of desire, feeling dull or apathetic, withdrawing or isolating yourself, feeling dry in your communication or intimacy, and losing your softness. Low estrogen can also reflect the good girl energy being broken. So as you can see, when we look at estrogen from this lens, and we continue to take this outside approach because we're so overwhelmed by the symptoms, do you see how we're still not taking care of the root cause? Do you see how we're missing our body's signals? That the emotions that we're holding is driving us to our actions, that is affecting our body physically. I want you to recognize any recurrent feelings that keep coming up for you. What do you find yourself always circling back to? Estrogen is trying to get your attention here to look deeper. Estrogen is truly about receptivity, and if you use it wisely, it can tell you where you feel blocked. So with estrogen being a hormone of receiving, if your estrogen is low, maybe you've been doing everything yourself. Maybe you've been in survival mode for months, or maybe even years. When someone says, let me take something off your plate, or you look beautiful today, or you deserve to rest, how does your body feel in those moments? Do you tense up? Do you push it away? Do you feel awkward? Do you feel undeserving of those things? Your estrogen is signaling a block in that receptivity. And so while your body may say, I can't open up because I don't feel safe with receiving, the less that you receive, the more that you push, the more that your nervous system stays on alert, and the more that estrogen stays lower. Because your adrenals, which are part of your nervous system, would be supporting you with more estrogen, but that's getting shut down. So let's flip it and let's see when estrogen is really high, what's happening. Sometimes we can over-receive emotionally, but under-receive in support. So you could be absorbing other people's problems, expectations, emotional weight, and responsibility. That's not yours. But when it comes to receiving help and rest, appreciation, nourishment, pleasure, the things that you actually need, you may feel blocked, guilty, or uncomfortable. So high estrogen says that I'm very full, but I'm not full of what I actually need. So it's a false feeling of fullness. And when you see how that's reflected in the body, you see the water retention, right? The bloating, the look of being full, but you could be starving inside. You see how that's all being reflected physically? So your body is asking you, can you put down what's not yours? Can you make space so that I can regulate again? So when you get really keen on your estrogen, it reveals where your feminine energy actually wants to open up more, and where it feels too unsafe, too overburdened, or too depleted to receive. So now that we've taken this time to understand estrogen, we know that estrogen doesn't lie. It's one of the clearest messages you have as a woman. It's a mirror to see where you are overextending, where you are undernourished, where you are out of alignment. When you learn to read it, your life becomes so much clearer. And if you want to go deeper into decoding your body's signals and you're looking for more guidance and step-by-step approaches to creating more balance within your hormones, you can join us in our free community, The Pleasure Wire. The link is down below. I thoroughly enjoyed diving into estrogen with you today, and in our next episode, we're going to dive into testosterone. So be sure to follow and subscribe if you're not already. Thank yourself so much for showing up today, and thank you for tuning in to the She Sacral podcast.